Vision is often thought about very linearly in League. People for a long time were always trying to find the best ward spots, buying control wards on every base, and overall just very one-dimensional with their understanding of vision. But just like with everything else in League, there's going to be a why. Knowing the why of something not only helps you understand it at a deeper level, but it also helps you be more creative and effective when using it. For example, if I tell you to use your control word in the banana bush when trying to take an objective, you'll be able to literally place your control word there, but without understanding the why, you probably aren't going to be utilizing its effect to the maximum. If I told you to use your control word in the banana bush to zone the enemy in the choke and look for a turn, then you will understand the why of what you're doing, and therefore get all of the benefits of the vision. So I'm going to go over a few examples of common points in vision, and hopefully you'll be able to really get a better understanding of how you should be using and thinking about vision in League. Alright, so for this first example, we have a very early game VOD where we are playing Taliyah versus Syndra in the mid lane, and I think this VOD should really help you get into the mindset of why I'm using vision. So in this example, I'm just laning against Syndra. We did end up placing a ward from an early scout onto the red, which means that I know that their jungler has started bot side. It's a Kindred in this case. And so knowing that, she's probably going to 3 camp to bot lane, as we know. Most junglers are going to do this path, either red Krugs and 2 Raptors, or they'll do Raptors, red Krugs down. But in this case, she takes the red. So I know that Kindred is on bot side right now. So I know she has no gank threat yet. So obviously I'm not going to ward at this point. I'm just going to play my lane, do some trading against the Syndra here. And you'll notice as I push up, right, as I take more heavy trades, right, and I'm getting lower and lower and playing very aggressive in the lane, I start to think, okay, this is the time where Kindred is going to be getting her 3rd camp done, and she's probably going to have opportunities to gank me. So because of this, I'm going to ward here exactly in this position because I know that there is no gank threat from bot lane, right? Because if Kindred did this path like this, she would have only been 2 camps, and that means she's not level 3. So she has to do the Raptors here if she wants to be able to get level 3. And knowing that, the only path that she can take is this one. So that's why I placed this ward exactly at this moment. Because 1, she's getting close to have that level 3 timer where she can gank me. And 2, I'm very vulnerable being pushed up in the wave, and I would actually like to continue this pressure. So no, I'm not placing this ward because it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds exactly, and I was told that this ward was good. I'm doing this very intentionally because this is the exact moment I know that I am in threat, and this is the only position I am in threat. So I want you guys to really understand that there is a very, very clear intention about why I'm using this ward.
And I also want to mention that wards are only as useful as, well, they're actually used. I am placing that ward because I know I'm in threat of Kindred, so I'm also going to be constantly checking the map to make sure that the Kindred is not ganking me. If I place that ward because like, oh, I'm supposed to place a ward because a jungler might gank, but never actually look at the ward, well, it doesn't really serve much purpose. Since I know the why of the ward, then I actually start looking at the vision to help me fulfill my goals.
All right, so in this second example here, we're just a little bit more into the game. We're about 7 minutes and 20 seconds in. I'm up against a Hui. And at this point in the lane, it's mostly just a lot of wave clearing. It's not really easy for either of us to pressure each other. And I actually don't have my ult right now, which kind of relieves a little bit of pressure from the side lanes. But I'm going to show you how I use my control word in this exact situation here. So as you can see, I have to kind of take this wave back. Nothing's really going on too much. You can definitely tell that bot lane is very, very volatile right now. Draven tends to be a very volatile lane no matter what is going on down there. And with 2 melee supports, it's definitely going to be. And with nothing going on right now, I would like to use some of my wave clear to kind of pressure the Draven off and make him at least sweat to try and actually get any sort of advantage. So you can see I clear this wave kind of close and I try to combo the Hui with it. And then as I move down here, you'll see that I place a control word in this position. And this has been a very common control word for me. I think it's probably where 90% of my control words end up going, especially in the early game. And it's because when I'm playing a champion like Taliyah, or even really any mid laner, I want to be able to put threat onto the enemy as I'm dipping and moving into fog. So this control word gives me complete vision control of this line brush. So any ward that places here, like they have to walk all the way here to try and contest this ward. And this is very good for me because I want this ward to be as difficult to kill as possible. Now, if I place my control word here, it's probably not going to be alive for very long if anyone passed through there. But having the control word right here makes it very defendable and also gives me a ton of agency. As soon as I dip through this line brush, Hui has to start pinging his team off. He has to start saying, I don't know where Taliyah is. Guys, be careful. And specifically, the reason I place it here is because it's far more likely that I'm going to be influencing bot lane, especially with the position they're in and my jungler pathing down rather than topside. Now, in this exact situation, of course, like they're very pushed up, which gives me the opportunity. I think even if they weren't as pushed up in this specific scenario, I would probably do the same thing. Or, for example, maybe a dragon is coming up. That would give me a good reason to place a control word in this position. If it was grubs instead, I'll be placing it on this side and I'll be playing towards top side. And here, just a little bit later into the game, you can see the control ward kind of serving the same purpose, but for a different reason. Gives me very clear access into this river. It controls this pocket right here. So now the enemy have to make kind of two decisions where they either funnel through this choke or they fight through the bush. Generally, I think it's much better to fight through the bush, but having this control ward here makes a world of difference in how easy it is for them to get through. And the reason this is so important is because, of course, the dragon is coming up. My entire team is pathing here, and that is the main objective. Now in this third example, I wanted you to see how I adapt that control word placing that I did in the previous example because of the game state. So in this situation, Tristana is pushing mid and I'm sort of losing the lane. So a lot of times my paths have to be like this if I want to get to bot side. And obviously we know that there is a ward in this bush and I saw something happening bot side, but I kind of determined that this was going to be easy enough for my Uter that I didn't actually need to show up for it. So instead I mostly want to stay around mid, but you'll see that I still feel the obligation to kind of ward on this bot side just in case Tristana actually does end up moving because of the low HP bars on my bot lane. So what I actually do is I control ward in this bush instead, because I know that the control ward here is not going to be contestable. Tristana is going to shove the wave and then she's going to instantly take it on the next timer. This is much more safe, but also might catch the Tristana off guard if she doesn't actually check this bush, which it's unlikely that she's going to while she's pathing to bot lane if she does. So I adapt that control ward placement because I know that I'm not ever going to be going through that line brush anytime soon, and it's going to be very easily killed by Tristana. So this opens up my pathway this direction instead. I'm still out of vision, and it also gives me a little bit of protection for my bot lane. So in this last scenario, I have a couple of different ward scenarios to show you. So you can see that we just ended up taking the dragon. Ashe is going to go reset. It looks like Viego will probably end up clearing his bot camps and reset. But of course, we know that as soon as the dragon's taken, the next objective is going to be the grubs on top side. I'm of course no mana and I really need to reset. So what I do is I end up placing a ward here in the center of the lane. Now, the reason I do this is because I just shoved this wave and I'm going to be off tempo, considering that their mid laner should be coming back on the map first. Since that he's going to be coming off the map first, that means he's going to have first shove on the wave, and that means he's going to be able to move right after it. Placing a ward here gives me information as to what they're going to do off of that move, whether they move top or bot, and it will also help me kind of control the mid lane as soon as I get back. So you see, I end up resetting here with my Braum. I get back into mid lane. It looks like Zed didn't actually do anything. He kind of just looked to pressure mid. But you can see my Braum has actually moved with me as well. So my Braum here is going to help me out a little bit. He's going to protect me from Blitzcrank. And you can see I actually make a pretty big mistake with my ward here. I was getting baited by this Blitzcrank being in this vision pocket here that I end up warding on this bot side ledge. Now, I should know that there's no reason to ward this. And you can see this is why wards without a Y aren't actually very useful. Everyone's going to be playing topside. I should be playing topside pocket as well, because that's where the objective is and that's where we want to fight. Having vision of this Blitzcrank in this scenario doesn't actually do anything for me. So my Braum actually makes the correct decision. So he's able to place a ward in this line brush to make it much easier and give us information of Zed or Blitzcrank moving through the river through mid. And he actually ends up getting a ward right here as well, which offers us a lot of information about people trying to enter. So this entire area for the grubs is now completely controlled by us, and whoever walks through is going to be 100% on vision, making it much easier for us to collapse on them.
All right, and that's about all I have for you for the examples. So yeah, vision is not that complicated and no one said it was, but realistically, the hard part about vision is understanding why you're doing it. If you don't have an intention for placing wards, you're not going to get a lot of use out of it. You can see how I can place the same ward in two different scenarios. One of them is very useful and one of them is not at all. And yeah, sure, some of these examples were pretty simple and mid lane specific, but this can be expanded to, of course, every role, but also to every other aspect of League. If you don't know why you're doing something, if you don't have intention behind it, you're not going to be using it to its maximum effect. Whether it's vision or trading or roaming or how you're playing team fights, it's all coming down to why you're doing it. You need intentions so you can utilize these concepts to their maximum effect. Hopefully this video was useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I would love to get back to you. And of course, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.